Can't have that sitting over your head the whole show.
I'm telling you, the Bisons will get you.
So fake.
It's not real.
I mean, the Bison, we know that. North Dakota, let's
we
go.
Certainly do. What's up, friends? Wednesday night once again, and you know what that means. It's PGA DFS live before lock here at Awesemo.com. I am Ben Rasa, and I am joined, as I always am, on these lovely Wednesday evenings by Eric Lindquist. Sorry for the slight delay. We were trying to figure out a movie that Eric was horribly describing, and I was ranting about college basketball. You know how it goes behind the scenes, Eric, but we make the move from your backyard, not to my backyard, but we're on my coast at least. Florida swing is upon us.
Yeah, it's good times. By the way, figuring out a Justin Long movie. By the way, my explanation of it was literally they make up a university. Who's the guy from Dodgeball? And then we figured out the movie. There was no explanation you needed beyond that. No, accepted for those keeping track at home.
Accepted. You said reject you.
It was something like that. I don't know.
I was talking about Lipscomb, the college basketball team, and their nickname for everyone out there is the Bisons, plural, which is made up. That's not a real word. It's like deers. So riddle me that. We're here to talk about that. And also we're going to talk a little golf, I guess. That's on the docket. Honda Classic, Florida swing, Bermuda, water, a lot of different things. Before we do that, we're going to talk about our friends at Yahoo in just a second. I want to quickly ask you about the Genesis first. We made the move, strong field. We hit Joaquin Niemann. That was fantastic. But what do you have to say about moving from such a strong field to something like this? Do you take California recent form with you?
This is one of the most important things. In the last year and a half, I've really focused a lot on the betting aspect of golf rather than just the DFS aspect. The big puzzle piece I was missing was Colin Morikawa. I didn't have enough of him. So from a DFS angle, I just made a little bit on the Joaquin Niemann. Obviously, I still made money. If you're going to be massively overweight, he was my highest owned golfer. But you still have to have an opportunity to get the other puzzle pieces together. When you hit an outright, it covers you for so long. And now we've gone 3 of the last 4 weeks. We're going to try to multiply this, just keep the train a-rolling here because it's been a lot of fun. Other than Tom Hoagie out of the middle of nowhere from the top ropes when I bet Spieth, it's been really enjoyable. So I have to say, pay attention to all the aspects of things because betting, however you make the money, just make the money. Betting, we're going to be obviously talking the DFS angle primarily, but it was a lot of fun. Obviously out here in Los Angeles, Riviera is just a phenomenal golf course. And it's always a tournament I look forward to. A lot of the drama sucked out of it, but as long as you're on the right side of it, who really cares?
No doubt about it. There's just absolutely great opportunities in betting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the DFS side, but one opportunity, you teed me up as you always do. It's going over to Yahoo. If you have not been over there, I really have fallen in love with some of their structures, particularly with golf. You get the opportunity to build super teams because they have a lot of guys at the minimum, and we have partnered up with them to bring you some fantastic offers. It is on the screen as it always is. You get 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up, deposit, and play. You can claim at awesemo.com/Yahoo-promo. It's right there, and it's a great opportunity. Eric, I know you've played a little more over there. The prize pools are big. There's no rate contests in some of them. They do a lot of different things that some of the other sites aren't doing. Talk a little about Yahoo.
Yeah, so you get the lowest management fees out of any other site you're going to be looking at, period, out of all the main ones, full stop. It's DraftKings, FanDuel, around 15 to 17% you're looking at paying in rake. On Yahoo, I've never seen above 13%. It's literally been 12 and a half and below on every single tournament. They have the PGA Yahoo Cup where you're able to play for free every single week throughout the entire PGA season. So lowest rake, more opportunity, better fields to be able to actually go out and win a GPP, smaller field events. But then they continually get bigger here. And I know that going towards the Masters, you're going to want to be at Yahoo. You get that free month when you sign up. Pretty much a no-brainer, in my opinion.
Well said. So definitely encourage people to go check that out. We'll be talking about them throughout the show, but let's get to it. First thing, and it becomes more and more important when we go to Florida, weather and withdrawals. So the withdrawal scene is relatively quiet. Tyler Duncan, for one reason or another, is not here. Berger's back could be a question mark, but all systems go as far as we've heard. You tried, Fitzy ended up withdrawing on us last week. I assume you're operating under the assumption that if Berger's in this field, Berger, is possibly a top end play.
Well, yeah, and we saw him play at least at the Waste Management. So I feel a little bit better. Did he play well? No, he did not. 73-70, but, it's a golf course where, it could be a little bit difficult if you're not feeling 100% here. He has another 2 weeks. He gets back to Florida. That's a good thing for Daniel Berger here. So I'm just fine with firing him up.
Yeah. So we'll if we get any breaking news, we'll get there. But on the other side, the weather, it's always a little wind. PGA National is a difficult place to play. What are you doing with tee time stacks? I think it's slightly AM, PM. If I had to choose right now, I'm not overhauling it, but how do you approach that?
Yeah, so I'm looking at Palm Beach Gardens weather, and that's going to be obviously where they're playing golf at. Otherwise, it would make no sense to be talking about them. But looking at Thursday, looks like the afternoon's going to be a little bit breezier. And when you have water on 15 holes here at this golf course, you have a lot of trouble lurking. It's going to matter. Looks like the wind's a little less pronounced in the afternoon on Friday as it currently stands. But I'm only seeing about a 5 mile per hour difference here. So it's nothing crazy, but you never know. If that 5 becomes 10, you could definitely be having some problems there in that afternoon for Friday afternoon. So I think I'm probably leaning a little bit more towards AM on Thursday, PM for Friday. So yeah, I think the Friday one looks a little bit better. Is that what you said?
It is. I'm
Perfect.
on the same page as you. I don't think it's, you can't play PM, AM guys at all. But if I had to take a stack, I think that the AM, PM type would have a better chance to have a better split. If I was a golfer, I'd be Harry Higgs. That's probably the nicest thing that anyone in chat has ever said to me. I appreciate that. I would love Harry Higgs as my spirit.
If you hit another outright, will you do the full bore?
I might, maybe I'll do a show shirtless. We got people around this company getting lip tattoos for things. It's a lawless society. Shout out to Josh Engelman. But let's talk a little bit about PGA National. So notoriously, this is a track that we see winning scores. You post 10 under, you might have a chance to take this whole thing down. It's difficult. It's technical. It is littered with water. So what do you do when we have a radical shift like this? We talked about Riv. You want to be bombing it off the tee. You got to be aggressive. Here is not like that. This is fast Bermuda and certainly a short course.
Yeah, shorter course. We have an opportunity where it looks like hitting the fairway shouldn't be as difficult. It seems like it can really just kind of depend on the situation and how wet it can get in some of these spots. And like it can definitely firm up a little bit there. We had rain round 1, it looks like last year, and made a little bit easier. And some of the numbers are skewed from that. So it really comes down to weather there as far as just being able to hit those fairways. But as you said, not very long. I'm looking for a well-rounded golfer who does a little bit of everything well, because you got to kind of be competent off the tee. You got to kind of be competent with your irons. You got to be really competent in terms of your short game. Like there's a lot of trouble that's lurking, a lot of big numbers waiting. And I saw a number on Twitter. I can't remember who it was, but the last 3 winners here have not made a double bogey. It is so easy to make doubles and triples around this golf course. And so trying to find some of the guys who are just a little bit better ball strikers and can really kind of just find the hot putter for 1 week. I think that's going to be an approach that I'm taking quite a bit, because, if you get somebody who gets a little bit squirrely off the tee or with their iron play, there's so many problems that can be had.
It's the first week where bogey avoidance, sand saves, things like that, I think can work in. Normally it's like par 5 scoring, birdies are better percentage, and things of that nature, the peripheral stats outside of like strokes gained approach and things that we always talk about. This is more about limiting mistakes. You're going to see some guys that are like 6 over through 3 holes. There'll probably be guys named Rickie Fowler, but there will be other players in that bucket, and you just can't take yourself out of it that early. And that's going to be something here. I'm not going to go crazy. I do think that people like Keith Mitchell have shown the ability to be very strong off the tee. You can still club down and gain strokes off the tee here, and it can help you. You don't have to be a plotter or Russell Knox. There's a lot of ways to go about this course. I wouldn't just say, eliminate the strong off the tee players. I would just keep in mind that you have to do more than just bomb it here.
Yeah, because again, you got to be in play. You got to be competent there. And this was the golf course where we really kind of started a lot of our live before locks, where we were talking about it's never a bad thing to hit it far. Like it's just never a problem. But there are certain golf courses where, it's going to be better to be a bomber to hit a 2-iron off of some of these tees than having to hit driver and thread the needle with water lurking left and right, and the bear trap that you're going to hear God knows how many times from commentators this weekend. That's just like a buzzword. I'm thinking about muting it on Twitter, but I just can't find any way around it. Like, I want to be valuing a well-rounded golfer, somebody that I've probably seen play here and there, knowing full well that I'm going to play a lot of Ian Poulter, but I want to kind of see what that form is like, see some of the guys who are hitting it pretty decent right now, just because of what kind of problems there are to be had if you start getting squirrely.
Nice shirt. That was our super chat. People are digging the shirt. You look dapper. Look good, feel good, play good. You know the formula.
Yeah, it's nice to couple days off here, no NPA.
Yeah, you're refreshed.
I
wish I could say the same. I feel like I've been busier during All-Star break. But you know what? I love it. I have a good time, and it shows like
Bisons.
Go Bisons. If you are enjoying this, and say you're hopping in for the first time, the channel is growing. We always have new people checking us out, and that's one of the most fun parts, integrating people into the community. You want to support us? The easiest way, just hit that like button. It really helps the show. We appreciate it. And if you want to subscribe, the button is right there. There's no reason not to click it. You will be part of the 73,000 plus community that we have here. Before we dive into the rankum, we got a super chat from Maddie Mitch. Is Russell Knox good chalk? I don't mind playing good chalk and getting different at other spots. Should he be that highly owned? Let's go to our premium tools. Russell Knox is not, it doesn't look like he's going to be nosebleed popular. That's my first comment on it. He might be moderately owned, 10, 15% maybe. What are your thoughts on playing him if he is popular?
Yeah, it seems like he's going to be a little bit popular. One of the best tools at Awesemo is the Top Golfers tool. And maybe I don't always emphasize that enough, because there's certain players and stylistically, like, you want to be incorporating certain builds regardless of what the leverage score is. But at a glance, 8,100 Russell Knox, it's a guy that's been in decent form. We know he can be a prolific ball striker. And if the wind pops up over the weekend, this is a guy, he's got the Scottish pedigree. Everybody sees the Scottish flag next to him and assumes everybody's going to be good in wind that comes from Scotland because it's kind of a necessity. But Russell Knox, 8,100, looks like there's a little bit of negative leverage, only a top 6 percentage of 5.8%. I might be shying away a little bit just in terms of the popularity. You can basically go week to week. I know that there's a friend of ours, Greg Ehrenberg, here at the channel, who uses exclusively the Top Golfers tool to be able to look at negative leverage, eliminate some of those guys, and just find the people that people are undervaluing and playing the ownership game. Now, Russell Knox, I think, can be a plotter. He can be the kind of guy who can just hit 14, 15, 16 greens if it's windy out, and I want to have a part of my builds. But in terms of finding if that's going to be one lineup, sure, go right ahead. But if I'm building 150 like I am this week, I'm probably not going to go nuts. I'm probably going to be a little bit above or below the field, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say, though, because I'm in line with you, if you like Russell Knox this week, I wouldn't shy away from playing him because of his ownership. You're going to have plenty of chances to leverage. Don't worry about that. Bet the farm on Killer Keith. Yeah, I would have no use for a farm. You're not going to win. So you will lose your farm, but you can bet it if you'd like. All right, rank 'em style. You know where we start. We go to the top. Sungjae Im is the betting favorite. He was hovering around 10-1 in the outright markets. His main competition up there would be Louis Oosthuizen, Florida guy. Form looked good at Waste Management. And I'm going to throw in Daniel Berger for our first rank 'em. So you've got Sungjae versus Oosty versus Berger. What are you doing? What is your priority list?
Well, yeah, Sungjae Im, a first and an eighth here in this event. Obviously, he feels comfortable around here. The guy lost 3.4 strokes approach. That'll happen on par threes with a bunch of water. So I'm not going to read too much into that. He gained 5.7 strokes putting. The year he won here, he only gained 1 stroke putting, but he gained 6.2 with the irons. That can show you how volatile it is when you either are hitting it onto land or you are not. And he's phenomenal. And obviously he's the betting favorite for a reason. He's got a great course history, but he also has a 51st wrapped in there. And this is a high variance golf course. And if he's legitimately going to be 26%, I am massively shorting him here in this spot. I'm going to have a little, I'm not going to be, 0% or taking some extremely hard stand in 150, but I'm right now capped him at 10%. I'm not going to be going above that number. It just is going to be less comfortable. I'm going to be going a lot to Louis. Now, you're getting a massive ownership discount right now, 10.9% on Louis. It's kind of a joke for a guy that I bet outright. I bet him and Brooks Koepka, spoiler alert. But Louis Oosthuizen is the man. He's a guy that we rode his form, the red hot putter, all of last year. I'm not shying away from him in a spot, considering the strength of this field is not nearly what we've seen the last 2 weeks. there's no way that he should be, 2/5 of the ownership of Sung Jae Im, in my opinion.
We're directly in line here. Sung Jae Im, I mean, when they show things about Florida splits and scoring averages, it's like him and Tiger historically. Mm-hmm. But these are extremely high variance courses. The difference, I've said this a couple of times, the difference between a slightly bad drive in a lot of courses is you're in the first cut or the second cut. Here, it's you're dry or you're wet. And eventually those bounces, they just go the other way. And I'm not predicting that Sung Jae plays horribly by any stretch, but he is the most projected to be the highest owned golfer right now. And you're paying the premium. I don't think the win equity is nearly as strong in a tournament like this. I would go to Louis. Louis lost strokes tee to green once in the last calendar year. His putter was basically positive for all of 2021 until the end of it. He's lives in Florida. The Bermuda splits are fine. He's got good pedigree at places like Valspar. He can obviously handle this course. I prefer to start with him, but I want to ask you about the third part of this trio. We talked about him at the top because of his back. Berger also has the profile that would love here. He's a double St. Jude winner. He won at AT&T. Like, he likes short technical tracks. He's a Florida State alum. What about Berger?
Yeah, I'm playing him. I'm playing Berger. I'm playing Louis, and I'm shorting Sung Jae and Joaquin. Joaquin coming off a W and being the man for us. That was a lot of fun to be on him as much as possible. Different situation completely here. And, coming off a week that is going to change his career, I think. I'm probably just going to be shying away. 13.4%. It's probably appropriate there, but I'm looking right now. Daniel Berger just has to be a guy that he played in Phoenix. What else can we say? Like, that is just a positive. Like, it's a positive just to see him tee it up, period, and not withdraw. So I think that the withdrawal risk isn't really there for me because of that golf tournament. I'm waking up early. You should all be waking up early and waiting to see what happens with that tee time, but everything fits. We saw him, you talked about St. Jude, where he's kind of competed and done well at. The first tournament coming off of the break, he wins the playoff in Texas going up against Colin Morikawa, short technical layout. Like, we're constantly looking at those kind of trends. This is where he excels. Pebble Beach, these spots, these are the kind of things that he does well. He's a phenomenal iron player. He gives himself opportunities. He gets by with the putter. I'm going to be firing him up. I think he's also in the Pro Plays article, somebody that guys like Buzzard, Alex Baker, it looks like they're on as well. That makes me pretty confident that, if you're going to be gaining some negative leverage in the Top Golfers tool, at least you're doing it for a good cause and a guy who just has such a good course fit.
Last question up here. How often do you anticipate doubling up in the sense of having like Louis and Berger or Niemann and like two of the 10K plus guys in the same lineup?
I think because of how much I like Louis and Berger, I'm sure I'll get a little bit. Plus, we talked about high variance. There's some guys in 6K that if you get it going out here, I mean, if you can just be hot with the irons, you're not going to be having to go out and bomb it. If you can just get 3 woods in play in some of these spots, there's going to be some guys who pop. We saw, whether it's Brandon Hagee or some of these guys during this Florida swing where you can really see guys take a big leap or compete with one hot round where you just get the irons going, roll in some putts and you're there. There's less of a requirement of distance. There's no requirement really. I'm looking at a lot of these guys being pretty live in the upper sixes where you can just scatter shot and take some shots. Yeah, it's going to feel uncomfortable compared to some of the 8K range, 9K range, being able to kind of find 2, 3, 4 pieces or components of that as opposed to, just playing those two guys up top. But I'm not going to be making it a priority. I just think it'll organically happen a little bit.
No doubt. I think the win equity being so dispersed, it's definitely not a priority for me. We had a question from Chad. New to PGA, why wake up and look at the tee times? It's just simply to make sure no one's withdrawn. There is no late swap. If your guy in the mornings gets sick and you're not paying attention, we saw it last week, it can be rough. The best place to check, honestly, is Twitter. I really have to say, I don't know if you
tweeted it out as soon as Fitzpatrick was WD'd.
You'll see it. Yeah. The PGA Tour will tweet it. Over time, I might say 99% of the time, most weeks, if you sleep in, what'll happen? Nothing. But the weeks that you catch it and other people don't, it really can be a bankroll booster. So I would recommend if you're going to play, make sure you are up. All right. Next batch. This is a fascinating range. Brooks, who, if you are over on the OddsChecker YouTube and you like betting, would recommend go checking it out. You actually backed Brooks in the outright market, 20-1, and that is a very, very good number. He is sitting there. Tommy Fleetwood, who's been showing some signs in Europe, comes over and he loves this course. And Alex Noren, who I bet at 40-1. Rank them.
For DFS, Noren, Fleetwood, Koepka. I'm betting Koepka. He's 20-1, and he can turn on the afterburners at any given time. He's going to be a little bit owned. I mean, 12.8% isn't anything substantial, and I'm going to be getting to him. I mean, I have 15% in those in my builds, but I just have more of these guys. This is kind of the range that I'm falling for a little bit. But to kind of explain the bet a little bit, I've never bet Brooks Koepka in my entire life. The number's usually too short. There isn't really an opportunity. He's got 8 PGA Tour wins, 4 major championships. Probably a problem that I haven't bet him more in my lifetime. But
me too.
20-1 in this field is wrong. Like, it's flat out wrong. And you can kind of see in his form the last 3 tournaments, miscut third, missed cut. You're going to get him in contention in the weeks that he's interested or it gets off to a hot start. You're going to get a lot of miscuts where he just wants to hit evacuate, go home and sleep. Like, that's going to be what he does. And you have to be able to embrace that volatility. Now, in DFS, I want guys that are out there grinding for top 10s, grinding for top 15s. I want guys that are interested every single week, but I can at least get my exposure to that massive beatdown week from Koepka by betting him. And 20-1, when you look at him and Niemann and Berger and all these guys with shorter numbers, it just becomes kind of a no-brainer for me to pull the trigger on 20-1 there and then be a little bit shorter compared to what I would expect to be for somebody that I bet that heavily. So I'm looking, though, at Alex Noren. He's our boy. We love the putter. We love the opportunity and the upside if it gets windy, if it gets rocky. He's got a cut shot that kind of eliminates half of the golf course. He has the very accentuated, if you guys have ever watched him, he has the very accentuated practice routine on the range where he just comes really over the top. But it's a beautiful move if it gets rocky out there because he just never misses the ball left. And that's a big plus when you get on a golf course like this, that you can know that you're just going to have half of the golf course where you never have to even entertain going.
So Brooks definitely is the boom bust option right now. I think his miscut equity is high. We've seen that, but we also saw third place a couple weeks ago. The thing that we have to at least acknowledge, Brooks is 20-1 to win the Masters right now in the betting market. And he's 20-1 to win the Honda Classic. There's something not right there. Either the Masters number is wrong or this number is wrong. So I get having some exposure.
Miscut incoming.
Probably, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. And it can coexist with having shares because like Matthew Wolff, that's what you get with a guy like Brooks at times. Noren to me is the best option overall, followed by Fleetwood, followed by Brooks. Shane Lowry, who's in this range, also is playing very well. He's a win player. He's just a good player, 9,400. I don't mind him. I still want Noren as my priority. You could start in this range. I assume that you're comfortable starting with Fleetwood or below.
Oh, yeah. In this field, there's no discernible gap. I mean, Koepka is the best player in this field. He's got the best pedigree. Daniel Berger, I'd probably put up there as well, probably in the number 2 spot. They're not even close to being as short of odds as Sung Jae. Louis Oosthuizen is our boy. This is a field, though, that you're kind of playing your guys and have an opportunity at the top of the board. Whereas some other weeks, it's I think I'll play the best players in the world and try to figure some other things out because a fading of a Rahm or a JT or a Morikawa or a Hovland, there's so many problems that can exist. I think you embrace the volatility. I think starting in the 9Ks, no problem with it whatsoever. And I also got to say, Billy Horschel, have we talked about him yet?
No, Florida Gator, go ahead.
I don't want to play him. He's going to be crazy chalk. I think he's going to be even more owned than the 25% we have right now because 9,600, I think it's kind of a glaring misprice, I'd say, in this environment, in this field. I mean, everything that he does well, he went over to Wentworth, which I kind of see a little bit of a comp to it. Now it's England and, it was European PGA, but it was a great field. He goes out and wins that event last fall. And, it's a little bit more of a tactician course. I mean, this is a golf course that's kind of built for him, but I don't know. I just don't feel good embracing anybody that's going to be 25, 26% owned in this kind of a tournament on this golf course. As good as Sung Jae Im has been here, as good as Horschel can be in Florida. I don't feel comfortable with it. How about you?
So it's not the most glamorous thing, but I do think we should talk about that for a second, that the game theory in Florida is elevated and the miscut equity for everybody. Like there is no like, oh, this guy, if he played this course 10 times, he'd always make the cut, no matter how good you are, because a couple of bounces on Thursday or Friday and you're just out, you're done. And it's a 150-man field and it's top 65. It's just difficult to get through with this much variance. So when you talk about ownership, the potential payoff, we talk about this a lot in a non-cut. If you fade a guy, yes, you can get paid off if he plays bad, but he still gets 72 holes. He can get streaks and bonuses and all this stuff. If you fade a very high guy here, there's a chance they're just destroyed. Like they are just basically a flat zero if you get it right. And that does put extra pressure on these chalk guys like Billy Ho. I think he is an opportunity to play very good, but he's not a priority for me either in that range. I would pivot up or down. I'd go to Fleetwood, Lowry, Noren before him. But what I want to ask you next, as we kind of move down a little more, what about Wolff? So Wolff is there, Reed is there, and Mito is there. Two of these guys are absolutely broken. Wolff, Reed can't gain off the tee at all. He's losing off the tee every single week. And then Mito feels overpriced. So what do you do with this volatile range?
It's interesting because Matt Wolff, I was trying to figure out as much as what happened over in Saudi Arabia as possible, which hot topic option, whatever. But he played in a tournament and finished very, very highly there. He was right behind Bubba Watson, Harold Varner from that ridiculous putt that he made there. But Matthew Wolff was in contention and played pretty well over there, coming off of playing abysmally. And, obviously had heard that he was hitting the ball well. That did not translate to anything at the MX, but Pro-Am, multiple golf courses, it can be a little bit different. Matt Wolff is always going to be volatile, but he's going to be low owned in this range, 9,200. It's a guy that's just feast or famine, and I'm going to embrace it in the betting market with Koepka. I think I'm going to embrace it in DFS with Matt Wolff. 9,200 kind of opens up some more builds than double dipping in the tens. I'm going to be shorting the guy who's favored to win in Sung J M, and so by doing so, I have a lot of shots that I can take in this range, not really worried about ownership. So I find myself landing on him quite a bit more than what I was expecting coming into this week.
I'm disappointed to see Wolff hovering in the 10% range. I thought there was a chance.
Hoping the 5.
I thought he might be like 3 to 5%.
If he hadn't played well I think that there's enough people who pay attention to international golf now too, where somebody finishes top 3 in a field that's not exactly non-existent, that there's going to be some bright spots to take out of that. I got to be thinking too that, Matt Wolff, he's TaylorMade's boy. He's somebody that gets publicized all the time for the swing. He has this new Picks golf ball that's available on TaylorMade's website. And so it's a guy that I think they've kind of invested in. He's going to be just fine in the long run. He's too good of a talent, and he's a phenomenal putter from week to week too. So I'm going to be fine embracing that volatility. If he was playing well, you'd be looking at 25%. So at least we don't have that.
It's not on the DraftKings box score. I do think that matters. No joke. The European stats don't show up. The last thing you see is Farmers for him. But regardless, that makes me less interested. I'll say this. I have 0% Patrick Reed. I'm shorting Patrick Reed in the betting markets.
0-2.
I don't think that he can be competitive at this point unless he fixes his off the tee game. He's lost in 10 straight tournaments off the tee where we have strokes gain data. It's just not possible to overcome that, even with an immaculate short game. And here you'll just be in the water. So get him out of here. Mito's difficult. He's playing okay, even solid, I could say, but it feels a little pricey for me.
Yeah, 8,900. I mean, this is what happens in a tournament where other guys exist. And I have a feeling we're going to be falling down a little bit lower to the majority of our guys. I know you talked about Mackenzie Hughes on that on the betting channel as well. So that was a little preview into what you were going to be doing. And I'm fine going that direction. I think we're both going to be going up $100 to Wise, but I don't really find myself rostering a lot of Mito this week. I thought I was going to. He was actually in the pro plays. He's a guy that I've gotten a little bit lower on. We try to submit those a little bit earlier. And as the week has or as the day has gone on, really, because this is the most I've ever gotten an opportunity to focus on a golf tournament. There's no NBA going on right now. We're all very, very focused on these type of builds. I think just being hypersensitive to ownership, 12.1%. It's a little bit more than I want for an 8,900 Mito Pereira. Yeah, was he decent enough last week? Sure, 15th at the Genesis, but you could have lived without him. You could have been all right without him. And so 8,900 off of one decent week, I think that's a pass for me.
Sounded like your dog was very upset.
He was
with your
not
analysis.
happy. He is not having it today.
I say it every time. The animals, they can sense danger, and that means it's time to talk about Aaron Wise.
There we go.
400, dangerous game. You've got Bez right there. You've got Denny McCarthy, who, shocker, I'm on once again. Chad asked about Brian Harman. I think that he makes some sense. Bermuda splits, not a long hitter. He knows what he's doing, right in this range. What do you do in the mid-8s, particularly with Wise?
I always get worried, though, about Brian Harman because his ball striking, his all-around ball striking, has just not been good over the course of the last 50 rounds. 101st amongst this entire field, 96th in strokes gained approach. That's meaningful type stuff. 110th in terms of DK scoring over the course of his last 50 rounds. That's problematic. I think, another guy that I've just gotten progressively lower on as the week, he just made sense. He's a guy who's, anybody who's watched him play golf, he's a lefty who's not very tall, slings it around, figures out he plots his golf ball pretty well, and a great short game. He's had the same tailor-made putter since 1994, it feels like. But Brian Harman is for sure going to be a guy that I want to be shorting, going more towards Cameron Young. I'm going to have 0 Patrick Reed, lower on Pereira, lower on Brian Harman. This entire range is a write-off till you get to Wise, and you said danger zone, but I don't really feel that dangered with him. I feel like out of everybody in this range, he's the guy that if he can get through the cut here, I mean, he's 3rd in DK scoring over the course of the last 50 rounds. And, you get an entire fall season that he was incorporated in and played very well. 8th at the Shriners, 5th at the CJ Cup, 15 at Mayakoba. That's going to inflate some of those totals a little bit, but like missed cut back-to-back Farmers Phoenix Open. Genesis, the ball striking was at least there. We get there. He had been on a run of a hot putter, 5 straight tournaments with strokes gained putting data, lost 3 at the Genesis. It was a brutal weekend for him. I think that that's a good thing for us to be investing immediately in a golf tournament. He had some success until the final round last year.
Yeah, I prefer him on Bermuda. I think he's got some splits that show he prefers these type of technical layouts. I just don't like the ownership and the price, but I'm still going to make it. I want to say a quick thing about Brian Harman. And it's hard to quantify if this really means anything, but historically with him, when he loses his approach game, he loses it for long stretches, and it really blurs his long data. So I'm going to take you back. Beginning of 2020, he lost in 4 straight tournaments on the approach. Then he get it back. Then he lost in 4 straight tournaments with the approach. Now we fast forward. He's lost in 9 straight tournaments with the approach in 2021, tailing into 2022. And now he's gained in 3 straight. He's just when it seems like it's off, it kind of just stays off. And when it's on, it kind of stays on. So I'm a little more comfortable with Harman, just having him show he was really good at Phoenix. He gained 8.4 strokes tee to green. I think it's okay there. It's still high variance. Listen, it's Florida and Honda, but I'm okay. Bez, I think you're going there with putting splits. Same with McCarthy. Those guys can just roll it, and that's really important here.
Yeah.
You don't like Bez?
Oh no, I like Bez. Now I'm going back and thinking about Brian Harman because he's 15%, and his golf game kind of fits the mold, but he is in that morning tee time draw. So if I'm going to be playing some Wise, if I want to package some guys together, he makes some sense to kind of fit into some lineups. So maybe I won't just have him be a complete write-off.
Yeah, he's not. I'm not saying he's like a core play by any stretch, but he's in the pool for me. I think he checks out just fine at that price.
That's okay. I feel more comfortable when you put that. It made it seem like a guy that you were prioritizing this
No,
weekend.
I'm not.
Okay, good. Aaron Wise prioritizing this week for me.
Yeah, that's less dangerous, sure.
Yeah, obviously that's what I'm saying. Obviously we need to relook up the word volatility in the dictionary so we can refamiliarize it with ourselves. But Mackenzie Hughes, 8,300 is just fine. He's your boy. 12%. That's not great, but I'm getting just a little bit short of that, and I'm okay with it. Russell Knox, we talked about Beasy. I'm just fine firing up Beasy, a guy that always sticks out in the top golfers tool. I believe this entire week, or like every single week, he's been positive in terms of leverage. It's negative 2.5% now, so it's changed a little bit. This is probably the most popular he's been in quite some time, but 8K, I think he's a nice guy to fit into builds. Obviously, the short game is phenomenal, world-class stuff. Taylor Moore, somebody you can definitely click on as well. I think lower 8s, I like a lot more than the upper 8s.
Yeah, ever since I made fun of Taylor Moore, he's actually been great. I'm even playing him this week. That happens. So yeah, listen, he was going to be chalk and he never should have. And I'm pretty sure he played horrible wherever that was. So I'm not losing sleep over that. Bez, all these guys, they're very weak off the tee, and this masks that. They can lean on their Bermuda splits. Their irons are fine. That's why you're going to see Bez, Hughes, McCarthy, Knox. These type of players certainly can thrive here. Don't mind linking some of them up, but it's time. I got to ask you, we're going to get to some values. We're going to talk some lineup construction, talk some bets. Are you going to play Rickie? Just yes or no?
Yes.
And in anything significant, or just as part of like a large portfolio?
I mean, he's in one of my main 3 lineups right now, and I'm looking for reasons to not do this to myself. Nicolai Hogard, at least, he's a guy who can bomb it a little bit, and coming off of a W overseas. I just don't know. Like, we're back in Florida, right? We're back in Florida. We can throw out everything that we've seen at the beginning of the year because we're back in Florida, right?
What, with Rickie, or you're saying?
Yeah. Am I going to just literally lose money for fun?
I will say I have some of my lineups made, and I do have one lineup right now, in some things that I happen to land at his price, and he is in there.
That's kind of what happened with me too. He was like a last man. I'm like, oh shit, am I really doing this to myself? I had Poulter was already in the lineup. So
same. Poulter's on this team.
Oh, go on.
And I'm not playing. I keep calling him Rasmus. I'm not playing the other Hogard, who certainly has got some talent. I'm not going to do that. Grayson Sig was very close. I don't mind doing that. I'm not going to make a case for Rickie. I really don't see much there. He happened to weasel his way onto some, or not some, just a team in a 3 max here. But what about the bottom as we work down to more value? A guy that you brought up a lot over the year already is Aaron Rai. Garrett Higgo is here. Henrik Stenson is here. Now, he might just be complete dust at this point, where he's really not a relevant player, but like in a field like this at flat 7, where do you rank him against some of these other European transplants?
Oh my God, I'm not playing Stenson like that. That's not a thing that I'm going to do. I love Stenson. Probably one of the funniest, most underrated funny guys, but I don't think you get fantasy points for that, which is sad. But Aaron Rai, yeah, you should. You should points above humor or something. Aaron Rai, 7,400, 9%. I'm very happy clicking on his name here at that kind of rostership. I think this is just a guy for the last 6 months that I brought up on shows where eventually the form is going to show up in America too. Like, it's just, he's too good of a player. He's had too good of results over in Europe. And we started to see a really nice stretch of golf there. Mayakoba, Houston Open, RSM, 3 straight top 20s. If you bet those along with the family, we're all happy about such things. 6th at the Farmers. It was nice to get there for a given week. And then it's been a little less so, but the nice thing about him, even in this stretch of golf here for the last 6 months where we only have one top 10 to really show for it, he's making cuts. And I think somebody who's sub 10%, he's not getting any kind of crazy traction. It's a guy that I believe in to be a very good player. You want to draw on some tournament or some European narratives as far as win goes, sure, do whatever you want. But I just think he's a solid golfer and a solid ball striker and somebody that has shown the ability to gain massive strokes gained approach from time to time. RSM 5.6, Houston Open 5.7, both of those. Bermuda, he only gained one of those tournaments in terms of strokes gained putting, but around the green, if that's things shores up like we saw at the Farmers, even at the Genesis where he was pretty decent there, that putter can continue to be decent. You're looking at a guy who could actually find himself to win a golf tournament sooner rather than later.
Listen, I think that Aaron Rai, he's a long-term buy for you. I'm kind of on that. He hasn't been killing you. And at this price, if he finds the weekend, he's going to be just fine. And you're competing against Straka, Higgo, Glover, like for shares. I don't see a big difference there. Now, Higgo, I want to buy on him. I'm actually pretty interested. But the problem, and shout out to our coworker, Jason Rouslin, who brought this up, he's really shown that he can go and outscore you. You know, he can go 25 under, but can he get through a cut where the cut's like 3 over? Yes. I'm not sure we've seen. You think yes? Yeah.
How old is he? I mean, what is our sample size on this guy? Garrett Higgo. I mean, we're talking
super young.
He's a baby. Like that's one of the things that agitates me more than anything is saying that this guy can't play well. We don't have a 30-year sample size like we do for Lee Westwood or something. Like, of course, we don't know. He's shown the ability to go deep, and he's going to be that guy. Phoenix Open, though, I wouldn't say, outside of some of the top guys, like he showed the ability to kind of play a tougher golf course. Gain in terms off the tee was flat in approach around the green and putting. He's just a young, confident kid, and it doesn't matter where you play. It doesn't matter at this point because we don't really know what that archetype is going to be for him yet. And most young kids now are coming out with no fear, the ability to go low, but they haven't played as many tournaments and haven't really had to play as many US Opens or Open Championships where they're grinding out results. But like, that shouldn't be something that gets you away from playing a guy where he hasn't been given the opportunity to show that that's what he can do.
Yeah. I think there is the concept on these tours, particularly when you're coming up, is like, you have to shoot like 28 under. So you have to go for everything. Right. And I think it's really hard to rein it back. If you go for it here, you're just going to go in the water. And these guys on the Challenge Tour, the Korn Ferry Tour, Monday qualifiers, you get in by shooting 62, not grinding out bogey-free rounds. And I do worry about that. Now, this guy's talented. There's no joke, but this is not the Canary Islands. Like, this is PGA National. So we're going to see. I think I'm going to end up with some Higo. I just worry about the experience in trying to not avoid the blowups more than go for every single shot.
All right. Sounds good. I've got a lot of questions about Ian Poulter.
And go ahead. Take those, 7,600.
Please. So this was another guy that I explained, plus 350 was lingering around, plus 330 is kind of the prevailing number, top 10.
Sorry to jump in there. I'm glad you brought that up. There's also other books that have that upwards of 6-1.
What?
His top 10. Yeah. So looking around, and you can shop that. We had a couple comments on our Odd Shopper video. Sorry to cut you off there, but even on FanDuel, he is plus 850 for a top 10. There you go.
What?
You can continue. I know. So I wanted to just jump in there because we were talking about that number. We took a bad number.
I hate California. All right. So maybe if you know a guy, I don't know. 8.5 to 1 is just ridiculous. Ian Poulter, he's a transplant. He comes from England. He ends up living in Florida. He's in the Jupiter area with like everybody else there. He has really nice cars. But what he really has is an immaculate short game around the greens, 11th in terms of strokes gained around the green, 3rd in putting. We've seen it all the time at Ryder Cups, but there's a pronounced Bermuda specialist element to his game. He's played well at Houston Opens. He's played well, in Florida a number of times. 8.5 to 1 is just wrong. And I know the form is not there, but also hasn't played. So like legitimately, it's been like 3-4 months since we've seen him on American soil. Last tournament, 11, 14, 21 Houston Open, miscut there, gained around the green and putting, didn't hit it particularly well. I don't know what to think as far as like what the form's going to look like, but I don't really care. This is a ridiculous number, 8.5 to 1 for a top 10. I mean, I was willing to bet him, in the 300s, the 400s. That was legitimately a thing that everything was kind of pointing towards. And he's not rostered at a high clip. Nobody wants to embrace the volatility of a guy who hasn't played yet, but like, he's just he's the most under-owned golfer in this entire field. I truly do believe that at 2.4%. This is a guy I'm taking a massive, and I do mean massive, overweight approach to for DFS this week.
I just don't understand the ownership. I'm not in love with the play, but I think that Ian Poulter's got decades of experience at API, at Honda, at the Players. He knows the intricacies of all these courses inside and out. His game naturally fits what you would want to do here. Now, the form may prevent him from being effective, but at that type of percentage, I don't need to allocate a ton on him. So that's where I'm at with Poulter. I'm glad that you brought him up, though. Appreciate that. All right. We're getting to the cheapies. Then we'll rapid fire some stuff. We'll talk some bets. Smotherman, that guy who is becoming a guy that we got to pay attention to. Austin Smotherman. We've got Doug Gim. Satoshi is a guy that I think is kind of sneaky in the mid sixes. So talk to me about this range. We had a question about Patty Harrington in this range. So I'm going to throw them up, rank them. You got those guys, and anyone else you want to talk about.
Well, yeah, Smotherman, brand new name to the show. Welcome, everybody. This guy was phenomenal in college. SMU, I believe, is where he was at, right?
Him and Bryson? I have no idea.
I believe he was. But anyway, the guy could play some serious golf, and he actually is getting some attention, and people are kind of looking his direction. So I'm not in love with the play here. I'm probably not going to be going there as much. Rest of the range, I mean, as you're getting upper sixes, I mean, there's your boy Poston, my boy Poston. What am I talking about? It's always going to be my boy, but I'm okay taking like, I mean, Streelman 7K. I mean, we're still kind of talking about these low sevens or upper sixes. I think that's a guy that I'm okay getting to a little bit of. This is just a sprinkle it around range. I think Smotherman 5.7% seems a little bit more appropriate here. I have a tiny bit, but man, you don't want to be going there when you can go to Doug Gim for less ownership. He's a ball striking extraordinaire out of Texas. And I don't really know what to think about this guy because there's just some ridiculous bad performances you get, like you get 74 at the Genesis, but on a golf course where it's a little bit more tactician based, we saw him play well at the Players last year. There's going to be, I think there's going to be an opportunity for him to really kind of compete in a tournament in the Florida swing here. I think you want to be there early.
So yeah, this is a tough range. I think there's a pretty big drop off with some of these guys. I think that Satoshi's kind of interesting. He won Heritage. Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like Bermuda, but the price is right. The form is okay. He's in the pool as a flyer. Patty Harrington is making cuts.
Yes,
we've had a couple people ask that. I don't tend to play guys like that. It's, in the Steve Stricker, Jim Furyk type, but lower scoring. This is the right course. So I think if you're going to do it, this is clearly why people are arriving there. He's got really bad Bermuda splits. I'm going to still pass. I'll be honest. I think I'll roll those shares into Smotherman, Satoshi, Bo Hostler, just as a complete flyer. He's flashed a little bit. Kramer Hickok has come up. Give me a yay or nay on Kramer Hickok.
Sure. But he's a why not Kramer Hickok. I probably prefer Kadira. Sung Kang is a guy also that I don't know what's going on with him. There's a little something there. And he's in my calf game, my strokes gain calf muscles model. That was the thing that we up last year, and that's something that you want to be keeping a key eye on because Phil's not going to be a part of that.
Yeah, well, Phil's been eliminated.
Yeah, he's by default. Sung Kang is now number 1 on that board in the power ranking, and he's somebody that our good friend Geoff wrote up actually that there was like a prevailing 20-1 on a top 20 or a 7-1 on a top 20, and then it was a little bit longer for a top 10. He's started to flash some form. He's a guy who lives in the Texas area, plays on Bermuda primarily, that new venue for the Byron Nelsons where he plays out of. And I think that going back to some Bermuda here, we've seen some decent ball striking out of him of late, better than you would expect. So I'm okay taking some deep flyers on him as well in this range.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty wide open to look to some of these guys. I won't end the show without talking about Duffner. I'll talk about him right now. Jason Duffner loves this course, but his form is horrendous. So unless you're going for the blind reset, and I do that with guys, I don't really see it. The other problem I have with Duffner is you're playing him so you can unlock Sungjae Im. Like it's not like you're able to now get Rahm and Rory on the same team. You're getting Sungjae Im and Berger maybe on the same team, and that to me isn't that appealing. So I'm probably going to avoid that range unless I'm really in a jam, but there's no doubt that Duffner's course history is as strong as you're going to find in terms of making cuts.
Yeah, I'm sad Tyler Duncan's not in the field. I would have played him at 6,400. That would have been somebody down here a little bit further. Who's the cheapest guy that you're firing up in the pool this week?
So I think that if I had to play someone really desperate, it would be Wesley Bryant, just on complete flyer. But Satoshi is the guy that I feel most comfortable with at 66. I'm actively targeting him on some lineups.
I'm actively targeting Brandon Hagee in some lineups. So okay. That's kind of my guy. 6,500 for him is as cheap as I'm going to go. He had a blistering final round, finished second here last year, 21st into 21st there that we're looking at as well. I just think that Brandon Hagee has a load of talent. It hasn't necessarily shown out. All these guys are extremely talented, but there's this ability he has to go low on tough golf courses, which, isn't something that comes in handy a lot if you're not putting it all together for all 4 rounds. But he's had no form whatsoever, but gets back to a golf course. You have 3 of the last 4 years with top 21s. That's better than you're going to find for most guys in the bottom 6,500 range.
We talked about our betting cards a little bit, but I just want to give you an opportunity. And again, you can check out the OddsShopper YouTube. We have a brand new show. If you're just a golf fan and you enjoy laid back kind of first look, me and Eitan Shander on Mondays for just a half hour are going to go through our betting cards. We're going to have some laughs. We're not going to take it too seriously. Just a good time. So if you enjoy that, OddsChecker YouTube will have that show for you each and every week. But I want to ask you right now, you've mentioned the Poulter top 10. You mentioned the Brooks outright, maybe Wolff on the card, some other guys. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to in the betting market?
Yeah, I got a Louis 20-1, which is nice. There was actually longer lingering around. I'm looking at 16-1 on DraftKings now. So that just be aware, things have definitely been in flux there. Aaron Wise was an auto ad at 50-1 as well. I said my favorite though, there's just no way that I wasn't going to be betting 20-1 Brooks. It's now shorter to like 18-1. I'm looking at over there as well. You can really get carried away in a tournament like this, trying to bet some of these top 10s and just trying to scattershot a number of them. I think Denny McCarthy's a guy that you pointed out. I kind of joined the party with that. Ian Poulter, my God, I'm going to have to definitely find that. But there was a 7.5-1 on Aaron Rai top 10. That is just too long of a number for me to neglect. I'm going to be clicking on that. 7-1 Higo. Again, I just find so many of these guys really, really appealing. High variance golf course. I think if you can hit one or two out of if you find 10 of them there, you're going to have a very profitable week.
Yeah, agree. That's a good strategy here. I think my card would be a little larger on a week like this, just with more like small increment bets. Denny McCarthy was upwards of 7-1 for a top 10. He's dropped a little bit. I see mostly 5-1s. Still think it's all right. I don't mind going there. It's a week though. Honestly, I'm looking to short Reed in matchups. I think Reed's going to get cut again, and you can find guys against him that I don't think are going to get cut. So looking to do that. Usti's going to be on the card as well. Let's talk a little bit about our lineup builds. It sounds like both of us are a little more comfortable going balanced just because of the pretty weak field that is the Honda Classic.
Yeah, it's a very weak field. I said you can find guys. Somebody's going to be popping out of the 6K range. It's just a lot harder to identify. I mean, Haggie's about as cheap. 6,500s really is as far down as I'm going to be going to, but there's no doubt about it. You're not giving up a lot. You're not, obviously last week you had Hovland, Morikawa, JT, a number of those guys that just popped in the 10K range, and you needed to have one, maybe two of them involved. I don't see that this week. I think you can definitely get away by, fingers crossed, having it be Louis and then going a little bit shorter.
We had a question from Dalton. FanDuel SE best value play. I don't know exactly where you're drawing the line for value, but I will say that Grayson Sig over there is just $8,500. That is a pretty egregious. He stands out. He's significantly cheaper on FanDuel than he is anywhere else. The same could be said for a guy like Nick Taylor, only $8,100. I don't particularly like him, but that is a really, really good price. I think Sig would be my answer though.
Yeah, Aaron Rise 8,900, as is a guy like Charles Howell III. You could find those guys sub 9K. I'm playing a little bit more on FanDuel. They have some good contests this week, so I'm playing a little bit more over there than I normally do. So I'm looking kind of 8,900 is kind of the magic spot where I kind of cut it off a little bit. But you can certainly find. Yeah, I think that's a good shot out there. Hiccup, your boy, 8,400 as well.
There are names. There's no doubt. It's just, again, you're opening up value to play some guys that I don't think are that much better. They're interchangeable into the 9s, but we'll see. And again, all our tools that you're seeing, that Tyler's doing a great job displaying. So all cater to all of these different sites. Yahoo,
quick
FanDuel,
anecdote.
DraftKings.
Everybody talking about Reed. I said last week, Reed is like helping us pay the rake. Well, between that and 0% Matthew Fitzpatrick, you did it. The guy's so laid out at the top of his golf swing that he has no idea what he's doing. He has no idea where it's going. That's bad when you hit it as short as him. And his short game, as good as it is, cannot bail him out if he is out of play and hitting 4 or 5 water balls. I legitimately think he could shoot 80 this week in one of those first 2 rounds. Yeah,
that'll make it problematic for him. I just, like I said, if he beats me, I got to live with it. I just don't see it. Is Hostler still your favorite play in the 6K range? He's amongst them. It's tough. I really don't like the range. It's him, Kadira for his price. Oh, man. I would say Patrick Rogers, but I don't even really like him. I hate to say that I don't have a really strong theory with the 6s. My goal is going to be to land in the 7s if I can. If I get stuck, I'll play Hostler or Kadira or punt with a rando.
See, Bo Hostler, it's nice to finally see some upside. Again, another Southern California guy I've been beating the drum for. And where does he succeed? He succeeds when you basically can be competent here. His irons were traditionally the best part of his golf game, and on tour, it's almost proven to be his absolute bugaboo. It was nice to see at Pebble Beach a technical layout where he was gaining strokes with the putter, still lost around the green, which is so weird because that is by far his short game is immaculate. But strokes gain approach, if he can be positive in that regard, he's been very proficient off the tee now for the last year and a half of his tour life. So I feel pretty okay that if you land in the 69s, he's another click I should have mentioned earlier. But I mention him on every show. So
yeah,
it's like an auto ad.
Yeah, it's like me with Rickie. I don't even need to say it. They just know. All right. You know what time it is? It's hot take time. Best part of the show. Get a little dangerous. I'm not getting, listen, the Honda Classic. I'm not gonna say anything real disturbing. Also, I just want to say again, special thanks to everyone hopping in. I know this is not the players, this is not the Masters, but it's just so great to see the community growing. You guys make the show so much fun every Wednesday. If there's something that you guys want to see more going forward, at Ras DFS, at Eric Lindquist, we love the feedback, we love the support, the likes, everything. You guys join the channel, we really do appreciate. What is Niemann's ownership? Let me get that for you. We are looking at around between 10 and 15%, maybe smack dab in the middle there. Do you want to go first? Do you want to go second?
I'll give the floor to you. You started off.
I'm sorry. We just didn't build a lineup because I'm a moron.
Right. And then we'll do the hot takes at the end.
Yeah. Matthew Jones, you're on top of things. Do I know what's going on? Obviously not. Let's build a lineup.
There's a lot of college basketball in flux.
I'm not even sweating college basketball. I just don't know what's going on. All right. It's lineup builder time. Lead us off, friend.
All right. Well, Louis, 10-8.
Okay. Louis, 10-8. Easy. I think he can be in any type of lineup. It sets the table. Noren, 9-3.
Love it. Two guys that we both like quite a bit here. Let's go. Again, I always try to find somebody in the 7K for you there next. I know that you don't like Rye, so I will avoid Rye. No. One guy. Oh, you're okay with Rye? I'm
okay with Rye. I think he's more of just a long-term project, but you could click him in. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's a European guy coming over to America, and it's taking a hot second, but when it clicks, it's going to click. And we've seen some upside of him of late. Played well at Farmers. Not that that's anywhere close to what you're going to be facing. Completely different test here, but it's a test that I think fits his golf game a little bit better than Farmers does.
Let's double click the range. 7,400 for Aaron Rye. Grayson Siggs, same price. Playing good golf, making cuts. Nothing in his game indicates that he can't handle this. I'm going to click him in.
All right. Well, I'm going to let you kind of have the table and get your take on. Let's go Ian Poulter, 7,600. I'm going to give you 7,500 because I'm kind of curious what your next click would be once you take Sig off the board, because we talked about this range quite a bit. And I think it's a pretty appealing range with Kirk, Glover, Sepp Straka has been decent of late here too. I'm curious what your next click would be 75 and under.
Probably be to email the site and ask for more with Rickie. Ian Poulter as the fifth man in, I think, is interesting. It leaves me in a dead zone.
Okay, well then let's take him out. Okay.
No, it's not a dead zone in a bad way. I just think that here you're really going to look to. Let's work through it. Let's talk about this. So if we go Kirk, we zero out. Do you think the lineup is leveraged? To me, it is. Poulter's not going to be popular. You've got Rye in there. Or do you think it's better to leave a couple $100, CH3, Higo, and up the variance?
Well, normally I would say I don't want to. I mean, if you look at some builds in lineup rewind, whether it's Adam or some of the other top players, they're still not leaving 49.6 more than that off the table because one, you're not going to ever probably hit the absolute stone cold nuts lineup in a full field event. And number two, you're giving up some opportunity cost of the top end players. Now that is different on a golf course like this. I think I'm happy leaving a couple hundred on the table, 300, 400, 500 on the table on this golf course. I don't want to be going to 493 or anything below that, but if I cap out 495, 496, I'm just fine with it.
Yeah, definitely. That's a tailor-made Ben Rasa lineup there. A lot of goblins in there. I love the look of it. Seems extremely dangerous, but you can do a lot of things with that last 2v2. You could take that core and make rotating 3v3s. And you can play around with the lineup builder. You'll see there, you've got the projections, the ownership, the letter grading after it to give you kind of an indication on how these guys grade out. and whatnot. So a lot that we can do there. It's a good opportunity. I like it. Yeah, exactly. You see, you plug Higo in. Now you've got other guys there. But okay, now it is officially hot take time. There are no more topics. I'm positive. I read the sidebar. What do you got for me, friend?
Well, I guess the new hot take is I think Patrick Reed could legitimately shoot 80. I'll say 78 or higher for Patrick Reed, but that's not a very fun hot take here. So we're going to do this one. I'm going to be siding with our boy Geoff here. I think Sung Kang, absolute flyer of flyers. This guy starting to show a little bit of form here in the desert in Phoenix, gets back on his preferred surface, Bermuda. Once again, lives in the Texas area, a lot of Bermuda. That Byron Nelson tournament in that area. I believe it's around the Houston or San Antonio. It's one of the two, but whatever. The guy is definitely more pronounced a little bit on Bermuda. I think he could have a random spike here. I'm going to call it top 10 for Sung Kang.
Top 10 for Sung Kang. I never in a million years would have guessed that was your hot take. You are going to get upwards of 18-1 if that happens. Sung Kang. My hot take.
One-time dealer. One time.
You can bring out the boo birds. This is a bad hot take because it's not that spicy.
Boo.
South African wins the tournament.
Oh, I love that call.
It's a good call. It's just not that crazy. Usti could easily win. Bez could win. I guess in theory, Higo could win. There's probably a Charles if he wins. That would be really disturbing. But I'm going to call for a South African flag at the top of that leaderboard when the dust settles.
You know what? One of the coolest flags. Shout out the South African national flag.
Shout out to South Africa's flag. They do have a top 20 flag, I'd say.
Okay. Well, because you know every country. I bet you would know every flag.
I do know all the flags. And on that note, friends, we've done it. We've gone through the entire Honda Classic again. Make sure to get up. I hate to say it. Set those alarms. Don't want to miss it. Follow Eric, follow myself, latest news. If you have any questions. And again, we're going to be here all year. Wednesday night is where you want to be. From the Players to the Masters and beyond, we will have you covered. But we're going to duck on out of here. Special thanks to Yahoo and Tyler behind the glass doing a great job as always. Good luck this week. Enjoy the Honda Classic. And we will be back next week. Same time, same place.